Blitz Package, we are back at it. Preston Jackson, Big County Preps. Heavy focus on Pasco County on this podcast, and none other than Tom Ketchum, Pasco County football, who we would rather have to discuss Pasco County football. We had some rumors going on, possible hires and fires. We've got some winless teams. We've got some surprise teams. We've got a lot going on in Pasco, mostly good, which is excellent for the North Suncoast area. And without further ado, Tom, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Preston. Thanks for having me.
Man, let's jump right in. You just updated the Super 7 in Pasco County. That is the 7 top teams in the area. No surprise that Sun Lake stays on top. They've been the most consistent team in Pasco County for the past 7-8 years now. Zephyr Hills Bulldogs, they're at number 2. They got a big game against River Ridge coming up. And that we'll talk definitely why you have Zephyr Hills up at the top at number 2. Surprisingly, Wiregrass number 3, but they're playing some really good football. And what would happen if Wiregrass and Wesley Chapel play today? At number 5, Mitchell Mustangs, they're 4-1, defeated Dunedin in a big win, 38-0. They've got Wiregrass for their next game. River Ridge, the Royal Knights, at 4-1. And we haven't seen River Ridge that low in a couple of years now. However, River Ridge is playing good football. They are 4-1 in control of their own destiny. And number 7 is the small private school Zephyr Hills Christian. They're 5-1, defeated Bishop McLaughlin in their conference play. And next they have Clearwater Academy, a new football program over in Pinellas County. So, Tom, talk to us about your Pasco County football Super 7 and justify your rankings while you have the teams in their certain, positions.
Well, number 1, Sun Lake. We've had them ranked number 1, Preston, all season, all since the preseason. I know they got the one loss to Zephyr Hills in week 2, but they have now rolled out about four games straight they've won since that loss. And this is a team, Sun Lake right now is probably sitting, as far as the playoffs go, with the best position right now. They're 2-0 in the district. They've come off a big win with Springstead, who Springstead beat already Mitchell. So right now, if you look at all 7 of these teams, other than Zephyr Hills Christian because they clinched their playoff spot last night against Bishop McLaughlin, but right now, out of all the public schools, Sun Lake might be sitting the best as far as making the playoffs, and they're playing good football, and they're a good football team. So they've been a number 1 since the preseason.
Zephyr Hills at number 2 and not River Ridge and or Wiregrass. And Wiregrass has 2 losses. How come Wiregrass is not 5, 6, or 7, vice versa with either Wesley Chapel at 6-0 or even River Ridge at 4-1?
Well, Wiregrass Ranch is number 3. Well, first we'll go back to Zephyr Hill Bulldogs. They're number 2. They've rolled off 5 wins straight since their opening season loss to Wiregrass. But they're also one of them teams, if you look at Zephyr Hill Bulldogs, Wesley Chapel, and River Ridge, are all 3 sitting at 4-0 right now in their District 5A8. But I want to give just a slight edge, and when I say slight, it's a slight edge to Zephyr Hills right now as far as number 2. Number 3, Wiregrass Ranch, they're in a playoff position as well. They got a tough 2 games coming up after they play Mitchell next week, or this Friday. They got Gaither and they got Plant. So they're sitting 3rd in their district. But this is probably a team that if I was probably ranking the team that could probably win most of the games in Pasco, with the exception of they got lost to Sun Lake, would be probably Wiregrass Ranch. But when we look at our Super 7, we take the classifications in consideration, and we also take it in consideration how well they're doing in their district. So we got Wiregrass at number 3. They're in a playoff position, but they have to win their next 2 district games against Gaither and Plant.
Well, Wesley Chapel has been one of the biggest stories over in Pasco County. They're sitting currently comfortably at number 4, 6-0 overall, 4-0 in the district. Only one team scores more points than them, and that's number 2, Zephyr Hills, and only one team defends better than them. And that is River Ridge. However, Wesley Chapel, 223 points on the season, 86 allowed. What is your give and take on the Wildcats?
Well, the Wildcats Wildcats had Hudson this past weekend. Their toughest game all season long, other than the Kickoff Classic, which we don't factor really into our Super 7. So they came off a 39-34 win against Hudson, but they had to earn that win. It was not an easy win. Went back and forth. They were down. They had to come back and win that game. So, again, Wesley Chapel, again, got tested this weekend, showed that they can win. They can win a game, a big game. And they're going to have another tough game with Anclote, who can also score points this coming Friday as well. So they're 6-0. They got Preston here in 5AA, just to cover a little bit about the district. Zephyr Hills, Wesley Chapel, River Ridge, and Anclote, the 4 teams that are still in the playoff picture in 5A, all play each other in the next 3 weeks. So the cream's going to rise to the top, right, in 5A. One of these teams, 2 of these teams are going to rise to the top. Someone's going to be the district champ. Someone's going to be the runner-up. They're close. Anclote's got the toughest road. They got to beat all 3 of these teams, Zephyr Hills, Wesley Chapel, and River Ridge, to make it into the playoffs. So they got a tough road. If they lose this week, they're out. If they win, they continue on. So it's going to be a fun, exciting next 3 weeks for this 5A8. We're going to see we could get some movement around here in the Super 7, depending on who wins and who loses.
What is Mitchell's biggest deficiency? Because they're right now at number 5, 4-1. I agree with the ranking. I think they may have a few holes, even though Mitchell's one of those programs who kind of got over the hump last year with the district title. But what, in your opinion, what do you see as Mitchell's biggest deficiency that could bite them in the butt against either a team as strong or better?
Well, one, they're sitting at 5. Just to go back why they're sitting at 5, they're lost to Springstead. They lost by 26 points to Springstead, a district opponent. It could actually come back to bite them if they don't beat Sun Lake in the next couple of weeks. And they got to play. They're playing Land O'Lakes as well. They still got to play Land O'Lakes in the district, who they should beat. But they have to beat Sun Lake to be back in the playoff picture. So their loss to Springstead has kind of put them down in the rankings at number 5. And again, they got to score some points. They got to put some points on the board. They're not scoring as many points as they did last year. So pretty good defense, strong defense, but they're not putting up the points that they were putting up last year. So kind of got number 5 just because they're sitting or the loss to Springstead. Here's the thing is they lose to Springstead by 26, and Sun Lake beat Springstead by 21. So again, once they get in the game with Sun Lake, it could be a whole different thing. But right now, that's what's kind of holding them back in the rankings.
Let's jump into some surprise teams. The given is definitely Wesley Chapel. Who would be another following the Wildcats?
Well, probably Wiregrass. And I'm not saying they would be a surprise team for this year. I think we kind of knew last year they had the talent. They were young, hit with the injury bug. We knew they had the talent. These are 2-8 teams from last year. Today they're sitting at 4-2 for Wiregrass and 6-0 for Wesley Chapel. 10 wins through week 7 from 2-8 teams. Wesley Chapel definitely being probably the biggest surprise team for this year. I thought Wiregrass just because of the record, but I expected Wiregrass to be where they are this year. Again, they've not had the injury bug this year. They're a year more experienced, so they're clicking as well. So those 2 teams probably, as far as where they are in the winning, I'd put Wesley Chapel as probably the biggest surprise, and then I'd put Wiregrass next.
Let's just say they played today. All variables the same. They play at a neutral location. Crowds come, let school out. We pack the house at some neutral site, and we get that Wesley Chapel Wiregrass matchup on and popping. Because the reason I say today, I'm not so sure they're going to play that rescheduled game. It's at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's in week 11.
Right.
Both these teams are playoff contention.
Right.
They have a good chance, or they have an opportunity to play in the playoffs. So,
right.
Do you play the game? It's a rescheduled game from week 2, and do you want to risk injuries?
Right.
Going into the playoff when you have a good shot of making the playoff. So I guess we're going to kind of have to. And again, like I said earlier, it's probably the cream's going to rise here. We're going to see who the best teams are here in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to figure out before probably we even get to week 9 and 10 where they are in the playoff picture. But I agree, this is not a guarantee that they're going to play this game in Week 11.
Both teams probably playing their best ball right now. Who would you put your money on, Wesley Chapel or Wiregrass?
I'm going to give the edge to Wiregrass right now. These are two very good teams. A little different. I mean, a lot of similarities, a little differences in the teams. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Wiregrass. I think they got some a little bit more athletes on both sides of the ball. But again, these are two teams that are very similar. But again, I'm just going to give the slight edge to Wiregrass in this game.
I like your prediction. I would probably do the same. However, I like a team that can run the ball consistently. Wesley Chapel has showed through their 6 games that's what they do. They do it really good, probably better than any other team in the county outside of Sun Lake. They run the football. They're going to tell you they're going to run the football. It's your job to stop them. And we haven't seen a team they have not played a team as strong as Wiregrass Ranch on their schedule. However, I think that they would still pose a big problem with the ball on the ground, even though they have the makeup with the passer and Jacob Thomas, and they have enough quality receivers to catch the football. They do something. They do it well. They're not afraid. They are who they are. They have that identity, and I like the game. And if we had to put money in it, we're not predictors, but just for the heck of it, because they're probably not going to play, I'd say Wiregrass Ranch by 2. And if Wesley Chapel made me eat my words, I'd give them 3 thumbs up and say, you got me. All right. So
I agree with you. I like both these teams. I've seen them both play. Wesley Chapel kind of reminds me of the 2014 River Ridge team. They're a solid team. They're not just one-dimensional on offense and score. They're a solid team. They play good special teams. They're good defensively. They're good offensively. And you're right. They have found a running game which they have not had for probably 2 to 3 years at least. They have not. Their struggles have been in the run game. Dexter Leverett is leading the county in rushing. He has over 900 yards, 906 to be exact. But Wiregrass also can run the ball. Chase Oliver's back as a fullback with Day-Day McGee. So they have a run game. And both of them, even Wesley Chapel, as much as they're running the ball, you still got Jacob Thomas with a big arm there, and Fadul's come along. He's just a kid that can throw and run the ball. So to me, it would be a fun game, exciting game. It's a rival game. I think we all want to watch it. We wanted to see it in Week 2. I think it was a great game for both of them. But again, I think I'm going to go with Wiregrass with the slight edge. I think they just maybe 1-2. I agree. Maybe 1-2 touchdowns in that game. But both of them can run the ball.
Well, you got some big games coming up. We had some big games, but now it's really going to get thick as teams move into the thick of their district play. So tell us which big 3 or 4 games you're really looking forward to this upcoming week.
Well, Week 8, we got Zephyr Hills at River Ridge. This is 5A8 district. 4 teams right now. 3 teams at 4-0. Zephyr Hills and River Ridge are 2 of them, with Wesley Chapel being the 3rd. So that's the game of the week. That right there is the big game. We'll see from that game. Again, you get a loss. You get 1-2 losses in this district, you could be done. You get 2 losses, you could be done. So you don't want to get that first loss. Anclote Wesley Chapel, of course, is going to be another big game this upcoming week. Just because Anclote's in a position where they have to win. They got to beat all 3 of them, Zephyr Hills, River Ridge, and Wesley Chapel, to have any chance of making the playoffs. So we're going to put that as a game up there of interest as well. There's a few other district games, but those are the 2 games next Friday, this Friday, that are the big games. But there's some down in Week 9, too. We got Mitchell at Sun Lake. As I said earlier, Mitchell will probably be in a position where they have to win that game. Sun Lake is sitting at 2-0. Springstead is at 1-1, already beaten Mitchell. Mitchell's at 1-1. Again, they got to play Land Lakes and Pasco in there, who could play spoiler. Don't expect it, but they can play it. So Mitchell's in a position they got to win that game. That's a big game, great game from last year. Week 9, now you got Wesley Chapel and Zephyr Hills at Zephyr Hills. So another big game in 5A8 in Week 9. That's good. Again, this is by Week 9 we may start seeing what 5A8 is going to look like. And I'm going to throw Wiregrass and Gaither out there. Wiregrass is in a position right now, Preston, they're sitting 3rd in the district, 7A8. They've lost to Sickles. They still got Gaither and they got Plant. Those are their next 2 games. At Gaither and then home at Plant in Week 10. They may be in a position. They got to beat Gaither. And you know this, is Gaither's playing some good ball. Don't let that 2-4 record fool you with Gaither. One of those losses was a forfeit loss that they beat Steinbrenner. So they're really sitting at 3-3. They're playing good ball. So they got a tough game coming up with Gaither. So Wiregrass is in a position where they really just have to win out, and they're going to have to beat Plant. And I don't believe in, and you may know this, how many district games has Plant won in a row, or how many districts? It goes back how many years?
I think they're 11 now. I think it's maybe somewhere like 11 in a row.
So it's tough to beat Plant. It's tough to beat as a district with Plant. So they got tough games coming up here in Week 10. And then I'll just finish out Week 10 will be, again, like I said, Plant at Wiregrass, Wesley Chapel at River Ridge. Week 11, all districts are done. We'll know who's in the playoffs, but we got the 9-mile war. Now, Pasco, as we know, is in a down year. They're young. They're 0-5 right now, but it is the 9-mile war. They'll have the hype. We have River Ridge at Sun Lake. Non-district game, bragging rights. We all know what happened last year. Sun Lake coming back and beating River Ridge, spoiling their perfect regular season. So that's going to be a big one. Then Wesley Chapel at Wiregrass is kind of the bonus game if they play it or not. So that's kind of a recap of what we got for big games here in Pasco over the next 4 weeks.
That sounds like a good last month of football in Pasco County. Before we let you go, man, there's been some rumblings going on at Gulf High School. There's been some rumblings going on at Pasco High School. If you will, or if you can, if you like to, can you shed any light on what's been going on that you've heard over at those two schools?
Well, officially today, and again, this is via Twitter, that Matt Kitchell is no longer the Gulf head coach. My guess is that the interim coach will become probably the AD, who coached last weekend. So that sounds like it is official that Coach Kitchell is out at Gulf. So we'll see, again, who's going to become the interim to finish the remaining games, and then I'm sure they'll open that up for next year to replace him. At Pasco, I'm being honest, I have not heard the rumblings, rumors, and really anything to share in regards to Pasco. We all know they're having a rough year. They've had a rough couple years, having a losing season last year, 4-6. They're 0-5 this year. So they're, losing, winning solves everything, and losing causes more problems, right?
That's it.
So, we'll see how that one plays out, but that program is kind of struggling this year. Again, they're a young team. They probably only have about maybe 7-8 seniors even on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, don't really know anything to speak of in regards to Pasco, just that they are having, the last couple of years they've had some struggling years.
That's Tom Ketchum, Pasco County Football. Make sure you check out the website, PascoCountyFB.com. Check out the Super 7, the district positions, the articles. It has a lot on the website. You can see them on Twitter, obviously, Pasco County FB. Tom, any last remarks?
No, like I said, it's going to be in the next couple weeks here in Pasco. The playoff pictures, we know with every district out there, but there's definitely some key games. Really, I've said it since the beginning of the year. This 5A8 was a fun district. We got 4. How does this work out? The football gods, Preston, put Zephyr Hills, River Ridge, Wesley Chapel, and Anclote, right? The 4 teams still in the playoff picture, all playing in the last 3 weeks. How do you get that?
That's crazy, man. It's good for us. Great for us in the media. Sucks for the coaches and the kids with the stress, but you just got to win. That's the only solution.
Yeah. Yep, it's all about winning. I mean, it's always about winning. You really got to win, and if you lose that game, that just puts you behind. I mean, look at Wiregrass right now. One game they've lost, and they're in 3rd place. And in a sense, Sickles could really lose one more game if let's say Wiregrass loses to Gaither or Plant, because they hold the tiebreaker in the runner-up spot. And again, got to be Plant, and that's one tough task. It is at Wiregrass, but beating Plant is not an easy task, as you said. 11 years?
Yes,
11 straight years.
Yep.
And I think in those 11 straight years that they've won district titles,
correct.
I don't think they've lost a game, have they?
Not a district game, and the only in-county teams that have beat them since they won their first state championship game in 2006 are Tampa Bay Tech and Arnwood. So obviously no Pasco team has beaten them. No Pinellas. They had a run-in with Lakeland. But outside of that, it's hard to beat Plant if you're within the BCP area.
Yeah. I mean, before they beat Plant, they got to get through Gator, and Gator's playing some good ball as well.
That's it.
So it's good. It's a good football team as well. Don't let that 2-4 record fool you fool you in regards to that. They're not a good program. They're a pretty good program. So they got to get by them. So again, we all know in all the districts here, whether it's in Pasco or Hillsborough or Pinellas, it's playoff time and it's playoff picture, and it gets fun into each week.
Hopefully you enjoyed our Pasco focus today. Tom Ketchum, Preston Jackson. We will catch you on the flip side. We're out.
Thanks, Preston, for having me.